Hi, I'm here with John Connelly of Nuclear Assault. We're here at Exit Festival. How are you?
I'm hanging in there.
So you've never been here before, right?
I've never been to Serbia, to my knowledge, before, no. Or the Exit Festival. This is my first time. Dan's been here before, I haven't.
You like being here?
I've just finished taking a walk around the festival. It's pretty wild. It's very diverse. It's not just a metal festival. So I'm looking around, it's like, oh, my niece would love this, my nephew would like this, my kids would enjoy this. I think it's really cool.
It's your last tour been taking place. How do you feel about it? I mean, it's kind of... what will you miss the most after all these years of making music?
I love being on stage. I love doing the shows. To me, that's the fun. So I'm not particularly thrilled that we're drawing things to a close, because then we won't be able to do that anymore. If it were up to me, we'd be doing this until we were in walkers and wheelchairs.
Okay, so how does it feel to be an analog man in a digital world?
Well, I figured out how to use Skype with my wife the other day, so we got that going for us. You know what? Intelligent application of technology is more important than the technology itself. And if you don't adequately, intelligently use the technology we have, you're missing out on things. Like the people who come to our concerts and they stand in front of us while we're playing, staring at the little screen that they're recording us on. It's like, hey! What are you doing? We're over here.
That's the point, I mean, really.
Well, again, that line in the song about having to literally stand on my brakes to avoid running into somebody who's just obliviously walking around looking at a device instead of the world around them. It's like, dude, do that when you're in your home or when you're sitting down. Don't walk out into traffic. It's like, come on. Or how many times you've been in a restaurant and you see everybody at the table has got a device out. Nobody's talking to each other. They're all on their little devices. It's ridiculous.
In 1984, you had a song like Radiation Sickness, long before the Chernobyl explosion. After the whole genre became like that. It was about nuclear explosions, wars, mayhem, destruction, stuff like that. But in the end, bands nowadays don't appreciate that momentum that thrash metal scene had, because it was kind of a pacifist kind of thing, because thrash metal was kind of invented because of the culture of violence, Cold War paranoia, stuff like that. But in the end, the bands today don't give a shit about it. So how do you feel about it?
I've always felt that the thrash metal community is very distinct from other music communities. If you're at a thrash concert, go to a rap concert, for example. Okay, personally, I haven't been. It's not my cup of tea. But I used to work for a lighting company, and we did the lighting shows for a lot of the big rap acts that were out. And the guys would come back. It's like, yeah, they were like competing gangs, walking in groups through the audience, looking for each other so they could, get into a massive fist fight or knife each other. The owner of the company was in the elevator doors open up, and he was with one of our clients, and the guy got shot in front of him. You don't really get that in heavy metal. So for a while it was weird because everybody was like, oh, heavy metal, it's so violent, and so those guys are so terrible, they're all... And it's like, okay, really? You want to compare what goes on at one of our concerts compared to what goes on at a rap concert or, someplace else? Because at a metal concert, if some kid's moshing and falls, 8 people try to get him up to his feet and help him out. You go to a college where they're putting on a concert, somebody falls and there's 8 guys standing around staring down at him. Or when I was working metal concerts, I'd be in a massively crowded hall, and I'd have to go from the backstage to the other end where the sound desk is and backstage again. And I can get through the whole crowd in 5 minutes, no problem. Just walk up, touch of the shoulder, excuse me, can I get past, can I get past? And yeah. Then I'm working a college venue, and I'm trying to get through the crowd, and I touch a guy's shoulders, can I get by? I got to get to the sound desk. And the guy just turns around and stares at me. I'm like, move, asshole. So for all the horrible reputation heavy metal has, we seem to be a very polite, courteous, camaraderie type of people.
What was the turning point for Nuclear Assault
In what way?
in any way? What was the album that break you through? Was it Game Over or?
Game Over made a big splash, even as underproduced as it is, with very rough around the edges. People saw something in us that they weren't seeing in other thrash metal groups. So we had a following from doing the live circuit as extensively as we did before that record. After that record came out, that exposed a lot more people. People now like listening. So, oh, okay, now I get what you guys have been talking about. So then the follow-up release, Plague, and then Survive, that catapulted us kind of into the mainstream of the thrash metal world.
It's great. Can you recall your time in Anthrax? You played in Anthrax?
I was in that band for about 15 minutes, yeah.
How did that happen? You lived in New York or whatever?
Yeah, well, Danny, Scott, and I all went to the same high school, so we were all musicians, so we put a band together. We grabbed a couple other guys that we knew from that high school, and it was basically a high school band. That was our first show. Was a battle of the bands I think it was in a church hall. Against other bands pretty much from that high school, and after that we just decided, hey, let's just keep this going.
Do you think that your lyrics affect society in a good way?
I have on 3 occasions have somebody tell me I did not commit suicide because your lyrics helped me get past what I was going through. I've had people tell me your lyrics helped me get off drugs. So yeah, I kind of think that they affect some people. I can't say they affect society at large because we're just not that big a presence in society. But I know in those 3 cases there are people alive and they believe it's because of my lyrics. So I take that as, okay, we accomplished something.
That's huge compliment for you.
It validates the entire experience. It justifies everything.
What is an album that you're the most proud of from Nuclear Assault?
Probably the next one. I'm not being facetious. Look, they've all got good points. They've all got parts that I wish we could have done better in retrospect. I mean, back then we were always under pressure to get the album finished, to get into the recording studio. Very often we were going to the recording studio without having written some of the songs, or with a lot of the songs not having lyrics. So we're sitting there in the studio writing the music in rehearsal and then going in and recording the next day. It was very, in a lot of ways, very chaotic. Now I've got 4 songs that we're going to do for another EP that I've been working on. In 3 cases, I've been working on them for 5 or 6 years. And the other one I finished working out, with Eric over the last couple of months that we've been touring together. So it's like we've got more time to do things right now. So, I'm not being facetious when I say it's always going to be the next one because, again, that's the one that I'm most interested in.
Are there any last words for the fans?
Yeah, keep being what we are. Don't allow us to become like the other musical scenes where everything becomes about ego and me, I, me, mine. Stay the same thrash metal community. Honestly, I think we get it right. Sir.
Thank you.